Hey all, this is Jamie. I wanted to share with you a reflection and an exercise that arose from a dream that I woke from this morning. And then as I was journaling it, jotting the notes from what I could remember of the dream, it occurred to me that it actually probably got stirred by some visual work that I was doing last night using Brian Froud's fairy oracle, and particularly two cards. As many of you may know, working with such things helps to activate the visual sense and stimulate by the use of those images and symbols and metaphors our right brain or whole thinking mind and being. Some people call that the feminine. So, in any case, what came out of it was an exercise that I want to share with you and invite you to try. I did it. I just started as Spirit moved me this morning, and even before I was finishing, I was receiving messages to share it outward for those who might find it helpful in shifting energy or shifting mental perceptions into what we might call more productive states, but it certainly also feels better to be open. And that's exactly what this symbol and this metaphor is. First, let me share with you, I'm calling it the blessings of the miraculous chalice. And I'll tell you why. The two images that were so evocative that I did and then took into the dream time with me last night were first the She of the Cruagh. This is from the Brian Froud Oracle deck. And then another one that followed that's really, really similar, the Singer of the Chalice. As you can see, these are just such exquisite images from Brian Froud, and Giza Macbeth wrote the interpretations or the writings for that. Really, really wonderful and beautiful, beautiful artwork. So we give thanks to them, certainly. But in this case, even looking at those last night was an intuitive nudge. So that's the right brain, feminine, whole thinking self, moving me into a different state rather than spinning on what seems to be an insoluble problem, but only from the left brain conditioned mind's perspective. So we need to sort of get into more whole thinking, and that involves the right brain, heart center M. And again, that's what some people call the feminine principle, capital F. So I took those images into Dreamtime last night and ended up having this dream that, as I was writing it this morning, it occurred to me, it's the Cruagh, it's the Miraculous Chalice. And that's exactly what that is. If you look again at these images, you see the receiving vessel, the chalice, the grail, and that's the image of the receiving principle. You know, the chalice, the bowl, the vessel, and and that's a really beautiful thing. There are many metaphors or stories about how, you can't put new wine into an old wineskin. You can't add anything new to a vessel that's already filled with gunk or old stuff. And you also can't receive into this beautiful vessel or chalice if it's full or if it's blocked, or if for some reason we don't see ourselves as vessels, chalices, etc., worthy of receiving or able to receive. So these all give some hints at what got really stirred up. And I'm brought back around to this again and again. This is such a spiral path for me, as so many of you might recognize as well, where we learn something, we get something, we practice something, then we fall into forgetting, another round up on the spiral, and we come into a new awareness or new understanding of it, or a more embodied awareness and ability to practice something, and on the spiral goes. And that's the case with this. So as I was writing about this, this beautiful metaphor and these gorgeous images of light, of this beautiful miraculous chalice, that's associated with the great she, the holy divine, the great mother, the feminine principle of God, or the divine, that goes back generation after generation, millennia after millennia, way back into our very ancient ancestral roots. The notion of the great, abundant, unconditionally overflowing presence that pours out blessings, like in the scripture, I will open a window of heaven and pour out such blessing upon you that you'll scarce be able to receive it all. And what all of this is hinting after hint we receive to remember this, because it's been squelched down by so long of an overdominance of the left brain, the ages of rationality and reason, which so often, ironically, seem sort of irrational and unreasonable, don't they, as we look out onto the world. So we're really being invited into reclaiming this other part of our nature and our genius and our inner being so that we can restore balance and wholeness, and also open ourselves to receive. And this is this whole notion of the chalice, the vessel, the grail, the holy grail, and the feminine principle, of course. So the receptiva. So as I was writing this, as I realized that the dream image that I woke from was in fact a natural version of this beautiful, miraculous chalice, the bowl receptive to receiving the blessings poured forth, the spirit started moving me, and this is what happens sometimes even before thought. My body moves me, or I just move into an action, and started writing, folded a piece of paper in half, and started writing again and again. And then on the other column, something else, third and a fourth. And this is what I wanted to share with you, to invite you to do this with a pen and paper, because we really want to, if we type it on our electronic devices, or laptops, or iPads, or notebooks, or whatever, it's all up here still. That's all very much still in the idea realm, in the head, in the intellect, and what we really want to do is bring it into our bodies, because in our body is closer to the earth. So you're talking about manifestation and grounding and things like this, and that's very hard to do when we're walking around all up here plugged in and in our idea realms, and just sort of not really very much in our body. So writing with an old-fashioned pen on old-fashioned paper is a very kinesthetic or embodying act, and that's what we want to do for this. So grab a pen, grab a piece of paper. I'll share mine with you. So you take a piece of paper, you fold it in half, and it creates basically 4 columns. Yeah? And in the first one, and you're going to want to make sure that you have room for at least 25 lines. Feel free to continue if you're moved to. 25 is what came to me this morning, and that's what I had room for on this paper. So in the first column, 25 times, and again, we're calling this the blessing of the Cruagh, the blessing of the miraculous chalice, which means really that unbounded good, joy, well-being, love, and receptivity. I recently blogged on the art of gracious receiving. So this also grows out of that. But in the first column of your paper, now that you've gotten one and folded it over and have your pen and maybe did whatever you do to create a sort of quiet or sacred space, turn off the electronics, and you're going to write, I am worthy to receive. I am worthy to receive. I am worthy to receive down the sheet in that column 25 times. When you're done with that column, move into the second column at the top. I am love. I deserve to be loved. I am love. I deserve to be loved. 25 times. Flip your paper over and go to the third column. I am worthy of receiving love in abundance. I am worthy of receiving love in abundance. Write that full sentence about 5 times. I am worthy of receiving love in abundance. And then you can just write, I'm worthy of receiving love, but in your minds and being, add in abundance. I am worthy of receiving love in abundance. I am worthy of receiving love in abundance. 25 times to the bottom of your sheet. And then in the fourth and last column, 5 times, today I give thanks. I received love in abundance. Today I give thanks. I received love in abundance. And with this one, we're outsmarting the mind a little bit. You know, our minds work, the linear left brain works in a straight line of time. You know, you do this and then this happens and then this happens and then this happens. But outside of that state, in a state of wholeness, there is no such thing. Past, present, and future all exist in this moment. So we're going to reach into our future selves. And today I give thanks. I have received love in abundance. Write that about 5 times. Then you can shorten it. Today I receive love in abundance. Today I receive love in abundance. Write that about 15 times. When you've got space for about 5 more sentences, we're going to shift it again. I give thanks for the love I received this day. I give thanks for the love that I received this day. 5 or so times. Add more if you feel like it. When you're complete with that, you will have filled your 4 columns. You will have added into your body and being and subconscious mind just a little bit this notion of being worthy to receive, because so often at the crux of so many things, we find this notion of people feeling unworthy of being loved, in search of love, of the truest sort. You know, those perdita loves that I added a blog post recently in Sophias-Children. But this notion of being unlovable, this notion of being hopelessly flawed and not worthy of love, seems to me that it might be one of those foundational issues, wounds, very much related to Chiron now moving through the sign of Pisces, those original wounds that I also write about on Sophias-Children. And but that sense of being unworthy of receiving love. And in so many of the great traditions, we see the mystics and the sages and the holy women and holy men talking about the ineffable, you know, that which is surrounding us, the greatest intelligence called so many things, the holy divine, the responsive universe, the field of pure potentiality. And as near-death experiencers and other epically transformative experiencers know, there is that touching in with that sense of all-encompassing love, you know, completely unconditional, effusive joy, well-being, and love. And that's why I think the word that we have that's closest to what we feel and what people have felt when we have been blessed to touch into that or be touched by that. And it's also where we come from, so our very souls have some distant ancient memory of that, and that probably is where our hearts yearn to reconnect with that. And yet in this world, we're conditioned to believe that we're separate from that. We have to do all manner of cruel and often punitive tasks to earn that back, when in fact, you know, we come from it, we go back to it. and we're immersed in it. It's just this perception in our mind in this particular dream, collective dream, that tells us we're unworthy of that and that that's unreachable, and that we have to, like Sisyphus, roll that boulder up the hill again and again, to earn our worthiness, when in fact, we come in worthy. We're worthy in this moment, and we leave and remember just how worthy of that overflowing, unbounded, unconditional, absolute love. And also, there's a sense throughout the ages and the great traditions that we are surrounded by that. We are expressions of that. It's in our very cells and bones. And we live and breathe in it. The kingdom of heaven is all around us if we just have the eyes and ears to see and hear it, and the spidey senses reawakened to feel that. So this is just one exercise that came up very spontaneously, very intuitively this morning to remind us of that, to remind us of our worthiness to be love, that we are love, to receive love, and that all that we would ever desire, all that we would ever need, comes from that field of love, capital L, the big love. So give this a try. Write your sayings there on your piece of paper and see what happens as you move through that, reminding yourself of that. Do it more than once. The subconscious mind needs reminding again and again. Give it a try. In the meanwhile, you'll find more at Sophias-Children, Sophias, Sophias -children.com, my blog. And I'm so happy to share this morning what I was given, what I received, and hope it provides some inspiration for you too. Lots of love to you.